Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the Play Arts Kai Metal Gear Solid Quiet figure. This is obviously the character from the Phantom Pain, and it's almost completely naked, so bonus points for that. Let's look at the packaging. Kind of a surprising package, because I haven't seen one of these in a while from Square Enix, but it's a completely non-covered window box, so there's no front artwork at all, you just see the figure. And while we're here, I can point out that you do get the standard display stage from Square Enix, so that's cool. And you get the directions on how to use the accessories inside there also. Nothing really special though, so I'll point those out as we go. On the back you get some posing options, pretty standard. So the figure itself stands roughly 25 centimeters tall, which is about 10 inches, just about 10 inches. So pretty nice size figure. It should go nicely with the new sneaking suit Big Boss that I'm excited to get. Hopefully pretty soon, but obviously not very soon. So let's look at the accessories first. She has two relaxed hands that she comes with in the packaging. Those are already on her in the package. And then she has a secondary hand here for holding her rifle, or pistol I guess. And then she has two different trigger finger hands, one for the pistol and one for the rifle. Slightly different sculpt. She has an alternate head, so the primary head is this one, which looks fairly accurate and it's fairly nicely done. I'm okay with it. And then we have this one, which has that blackish stuff going on around her eyes, which actually looks really good, especially in person. Hopefully it looks good on camera also, but it's a nice piece. She comes with her rifle, which is really nicely detailed. Various different finishes and paint applications on this thing, nicely sculpted. Really pleased with that. We have our pistol here, also nicely detailed. We have a knife. And I think that's it. Pretty sure that's it. Yes, that's it. So not a huge array of accessories, but probably enough. Now the one thing you guys are probably all wondering, because they came out with an announcement not too long ago, definitely not at the time of the pre-order, because I had no idea about this until the announcement came out. She supposedly has squishy boobs, which everybody thought, oh, they're just being perverted. They wanted to put squishy boobs on a figure. Well, I don't think that was the case. I think their purpose for having squishy boobs would have been to bring her arm across her chest a little more easily to put her in a nice pose with the rifle. However, it doesn't have squishy boobs. I don't know what they're really talking about. You can kind of push them together a little bit just because the plastic isn't soft, but of all the figures I have, for example, we have Boba Fett here. His boobs are much squishier. You can see the plastic they used is perfectly malleable. You can squeeze that all over the place. And then the plastic they used here, not squishable at all. So I don't really know what's going on with that. So those of you guys that were hoping for squishy boobs, no squishy boobs for you. Those of you that were hoping to put her in really nice poses because the chest could squeeze together, unless you heat the plastic up, I mean, you can just barely squeeze them together, so obviously that's not going to work for just the posing, because the arms are not going to be able to apply that kind of force. So we can kind of settle that myth slash rumor slash hopes for some people. No squishy boobs on this figure. Sorry about that, guys. It is a really good figure nonetheless, though, and we'll go through all of it. Before we get into the figure, let's talk about use of the accessories. We have a little sheath here for the knife. Put it in like that. So that fits in there nicely. Then we have, of course, a holster for the pistol. So this probably should go underneath. It can't go underneath. I'm not sure what that is. It looks like another knife sheath or something like that, but I don't know for sure. Let's put the pistol in there, and then we have the strap that snaps down in here. If you actually push it all the way in, it'll stay in. There we go. So that's kind of cool. Well, okay. You have to get that to stick in there. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Whatever, I'm not going to bother, but it does go in there. I did it earlier. And then we have these little grenades here, which are nicely detailed, stun grenades. They don't come off the belt, but they are there, so it's kind of cool. And some pouches back here. And some features for the straps, which I really like. This center strap here, obviously it can't be connected so that her torso has good articulation. It's actually really long and goes into her back, which you can't really see that while you're using it, but that sticks in there, so if you lean her forward, it just pulls out and continues to strap and looks really nice. So I like that feature. You can lean it all the way forward, no problem. And then the same thing is true for these straps. They actually tuck into her body also. So you can pull those out, and then she has the straps where they need to be for posing. So it's really cool. As far as paint applications, they did a pretty good job. This sleeve has a couple of various shades, or not shades, finishes of the glossy black, and you can see the really nice paint application there for the labeling. We have the flat black, almost flat black for the hands. All of the skin is matte or flat so that it doesn't look glossy like they used to for the Play Arts figures. This is semi-glossy and this isn't, so that looks a little bit odd. It should all be the same finish, but it's not a huge deal. The straps are all painted fairly well. You can see all the little rivets and everything, so that's cool. They did a good job making these fishnets look translucent. They just painted them a shade of brown that looks like that, and it works. And then same thing here, you can kind of see this black underneath, so it looks translucent. And they did a good job for the most part painting in all of these holes. The only real problem I have on mine is this one down here is a little sloppy, but it's not too bad. So I'm pretty pleased with it all around. The skin does have shading on it. Mine's a little uneven up here on the non-squishy boobs, but it's not bad enough to really worry about. I do wish the line work was a little bit cleaner in some areas, but it's not too bad, and I might even go in and touch that up, though I kind of doubt it. It could be better, but it's definitely good enough. And I really do like the way they painted the face. I think they did a nice job with that, and especially this one again. Looks really cool. Okay, so as far as articulation goes, the head is on a double ball peg, and you don't really get the gapping unless you really try to. So if you're just going to pose her normally, it'll look just fine. You can see a little bit in there, but it's not going to be a problem. Now the shoulders are a little more limited than normal for Play Arts figures. We just have a standard peg going into the body that allows the arm to rotate, and then it has the ball hinge, which is actually just a fixed hinge because there's no swivel on this end. So it's fairly basic articulation. We do have some seams in here, and it is technically a softer plastic, but like I said, you're really not going to be able to bring the arm across that far. There's no bicep swivel at all. We do get our swivel down here. Technically, it's not a bicep swivel, but in that elbow joint, we can rotate the arm around. And it'll get the job done, but it's not as good as having an actual bicep swivel. I assume they went that route just so that they could keep the sculpt going for the arm to make her look a little better, which I guess I'm okay with. It will swivel in the forearm also, and we do get a little bit better than 90 degrees in the bend. Same type of joint for the wrists, just smaller. The torso articulation, it's actually pretty limited, and I even heated it up to try to get a little more out of it. It doesn't lean very far back. It leans a little bit forward, but it's still pretty limited. It can go side to side a little bit, but just a little bit. So I don't know, maybe mine has less than normal, but it seems very limited to me. I'm guessing it's just a double ball peg. You can rotate it around, and that works pretty well, so that's okay. But again, not too much in the way of leaning. The lower articulation is just the standard ball peg. This whole harness is a separate piece, so you can move that around if you need to, and I can do this to show you. Just a standard ball peg in there, so that can lean really far forward and back and side to side any way you want to. You'll just have to be aware that this floating piece, obviously it can have gaps in it, so be aware of that as you're posing. As far as it being painted differently than the molded plastic, yeah, they had to paint it. Once you bring the belt down, it's not super obvious, so that's okay. But when they're right up against each other, you can see the molded plastic is a different shade than the painted part. Once the belt's down, though, it's not too big of a problem. For the hips, they go pretty far forward, really no problem there, and it's not horribly ugly in that region. And then we can actually bring them out really far to the side also, so if you need to pose her in a more acrobatic stance, you shouldn't really have any trouble. We do get a thigh swivel on there, so that works pretty well. Just be careful with that floating piece and make sure you bring it around so that you don't have gaps and stuff. For the knees, pretty good knees for a Play Arts figure. Really not too much to complain about. They're probably as good as they can be at this point in the Play Arts design, so I'm okay with that. They're not particularly ugly in any way. For the ankles now, we do have some issues. We have the standard ball hinge up here, which works okay, except the joint is up here rather than at the actual ankle, so that's odd. You can rotate it and technically rotate that around if you need to give her an ankle rocker, so that's okay. But I think it would have been much better to do kind of like Dante, or like they did for the Appleseed figures, where the top part of the boot is a separate piece, and then the joint is actually down in the ankle, and then the rest of the boot is another piece, so you get the joint where it needs to be. And then we have an ankle rocker kind of design here, which it does work well enough. It's just really awkward, and I don't particularly like having that type of swivel design in there, and I think we could have avoided that if we just brought the joint down here. That being said, the boots do look really good, so I guess there's something to be said for that. Very nicely detailed. So it's kind of a more basic figure compared to modern or contemporary Play Arts Kai standards, but it still works really well, and I think it's one that you should probably pick up if you're going to collect the Metal Gear Solid figures, because I have a feeling that the character of Silent is going to be pretty popular, being that she's mostly wearing just a bikini, and that she's kind of a badass in the game from what I've seen so far. So pick this up while you can before it goes to be too expensive to try to track down. I do recommend it. Stick around for some photos here at the end so you can see what it looks like in action, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. There's always other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.